presentation of, we have 3 items today actually. We have the GWO Taxonomy Framework, the reviewed First Aid module from the BST, and the reviewed Manual Handling review, the reviewed Manual Handling module from the BST as well. So we'll do that. I'll start with the Taxonomy Framework, and then Julie Brown from the training team will introduce the First Aid module, and then I'll finish up with the Manual Handling module. Yeah. So just to present the team, who are we? The training team at the GWO Secretariat. From the right side, Michaela. We are all project managers. Christian Munk Jørgensen, those of you who was in the webinar on Monday about the COHI have met Christian before. He will also be in the panel later today to answer questions that we cannot answer. And Julie Brown will present the First Aid module, and me on the left. Yeah, that's me. So during these presentations, we will make some polls just to hear not only that whether you are alive out there, but also to find out who are you, where are you situated right now, what do you think about the topics we're touching, what are your experiences. We want you to share some of your experiences. So we'll do some polls, and please, it should be easy on the screen just to click the mouse and do your votes, so we get pictures of where are we all in this industry, what are our thoughts. Yeah, and the first poll is a question to you guys out there. What type of organization do you represent? What kind of company? Just share your vote on that to get us and give us an impression on who are we at this webinar. Thank you for that. A lot of training providers, it's very nice, and some instructors, and a few certification bodies. Very nice. Thank you for that. I need to say also that when I presented the training team, we also have this small studio at the GWO office where we are today. And in the studio, we have some assistants on the pictures and doing the polls and changing the PowerPoints is Virginia, who is the wizard of that, and Tim is taking the sound all the time to make sure that everything is working. And sometimes we will hear their voices maybe if we forget to say something, or if they have some good ideas during the webinar. So yeah, that's where we are. What I would like to know is, where are you? So please give us a shot on that. Where in the world are you? A lot of Europe, Asian, so Asian Pacific region, I suppose that's in the late afternoon. And North America, someone forgot to go to bed, or did you get up early? Anyway, it's very nice of you to take the time on a strange hour of your life and to be here in South America also. Fantastic. Nice of you to join. We're happy about that. We're also happy about the European, of course, but yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, I just took on this picture partly to show that we have the GWO certified training providers, 450, 445 plus training providers all over the world. And this, I think, I really like this picture. I show it to everybody because it shows that the GWO trainings are done everywhere in the world, and you're a big part of that, of course. Also on the right side, you can see I put the numbers of around 300,000 course certificates that were issued last year. That's also one of the things I love telling people, so they know that we're a big business, GWO. Yeah. So then I have a question for you before I go to the presentation of the taxonomy framework, just to get a feeling of where are you in relation to the concept of taxonomy. So how often do you use the concept when you discuss or plan learning activities? Please give it a shot. And here comes the result, quite often, always, sometimes not too often. Well, that's very nice, and also a bit, well, not surprising, but very comforting to see, because, and that's, I should also have said in the introduction that I'm not a wind technician. I'm a learning guy. I'm a former Navy officer, been in learning and training department most of my time, most of my 35 years in the Navy. And I've been at GWO for 1.5 years as a learning guy. And together with the training team, we developed this taxonomy framework. So it has a taxonomy and learning has a big place in my heart. And that's why I'll be talking about it today. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. You can see what I would like to hope for after this presentation. No, okay. Yeah, so I'll just say that we have produced 3 short videos to
Are you a GWO instructor, TP staff, or auditor? Learn how to transform detected risks and hazards into focused, engaging, and involving learning activities on GWO trainings. Take a look in our 3 new videos and get introduced to the structure and core content of the GWO Taxonomy Framework.
I just also like to say that if you have any questions or remarks, comments, you can post them in the chat along the way. Some of the questions we would like to answer immediately, and some of them will maybe push to the end of the webinar. And but that's for you to decide. Please post everything you have in the chat so we can be in a dialogue. That would be very nice. I should also say, Virginia, that this video, the 3 videos on the taxonomy, they are on our YouTube channel, so they're free to use and you can see them. They're actually quite nice, I think. It took us almost a year to do them. So I hope you will enjoy them if you find them. Yes? So here we see the framework. This is the taxonomy framework. You know, I think you know the concepts. We're talking about skills and knowledge and ability. And we talk about learning in 3 levels: the basic level, intermediate, and advanced level. This is, I suppose, it should be common ground for everybody doing training all over the world. Maybe some other words or concepts, but the principle should be the same with knowledge, skills, and ability or competence. On this table, you can see there are nine sort of boxes. There's a box for knowledge on basic level. There's a box for ability on intermediate level. So each taxonomic level and column has a box, and these boxes, they have a reason. Let's take the next slide, please. So the ability domain, or the concept of ability, may be a challenge to some, because in the European competence framework we call it competence, and in the States I think you call it ability, and it's different between regions and countries and so, but we define ability as all what you have in your rucksack, all what you apply when you do your job, when you do what you do. And to make a metaphor about it, I say that when you drive your car, you use your ability of driving your car. You use your knowledge on traffic signs, you use your knowledge on different things in the car, you use some skills by shifting gear. Yes, some of us still driving cars with normal or old-fashioned gears. And you do all this automatically, and then you see something out the window, a woman on a bicycle or something on the street, and you decide, should I honk the horn or should I just brake and stop, or what should I do? You use your empathy and your ability and everything. And this is all the ability when you collect it all: skills, knowledge, empathy, caring for others, all your experience. Oh, what did I do the last time? That worked very well. So this is the ability. And the reason we have made a point on this ability thing is that we'll see that later today also from the statistics, that a lot of the incidents out there in the industry, they are because of people not doing the right thing. And we would like to put a focus on the ability, taking responsibility, taking initiative to do the right thing, good habits. This is what ability is about. And this is what should be the focus for all our learning activities, to create the correct and safe abilities to have the people work safely out there. So this was a long song about ability. I could keep on, but I got the eyes from Virginia, so we'll just change the slide. So this framework, the table is just an overview of the 9 boxes, but the whole framework is built upon examples of learning objectives. It provides inspiration to understand the learning process, what's actually happening there, suggestions for learning activities, and guidance for ways to evaluate. And then on the right side of the slide, you'll see the alignment triangle, which the important thing in this alignment triangle is to illustrate that there is a close connection between learning objectives and learning activities. Yes, you'll say maybe, but yes, there is. If we have to learn, if we have to be able to do something out there on a wind turbine, we cannot only practice in a classroom. We have to learn and train as close to the reality as possible, so that what we should be able to do is also how we train. So learning activities and learning objectives are very closely related. Yes, Thomas, we know we have been in this business for years, and I saw Jan Rook was on the table. Thank you, Jan. I know what you're thinking now. We have talked about this before. Anyways, the third point in the triangle is the evaluation. Of course, if we have this learning objective that they should be able to do something, and we have trained the way they should be doing it, then we also have to evaluate it. So we cannot make a theory class teaching people something in theory, showing PowerPoints, and then expect them to be able to do something on a practical exercise for the first time. They have to practice what they are supposed to be evaluated at. So that's the alignment triangle. So, and then I have a question for you about this. How often do you adjust your learning activities to target the complexity level in the learning objectives? And in this, I mean the learning objectives, they follow the complexity of the learning activities. Objectives. Every time. So we have 45%, 54% saying every time, and just less than 50% saying sometimes. What we have done in the training standards, we have during the last year or half year, we have adjusted all the training standards to align with the taxonomy. And one of the points we have done in all standards is to make sure that there are a lot of activities attached to all the learning objectives. So in some of the standards before, you would see that the instructor should do this, and then the instructor should do that. And there was nothing for the participants what they should do. So we have changed that now. Now we have made sure that the participants should always do something if the instructor facilitates or delivers something. We should never, as instructors, we should never ask a question. We should never do anything, present anything without it having a meaning for the participants. So we have unfolded that in the training standards. And I hope that will not be too confusing for you when you open the 1st of April released standards. It should be a help. And I think the standards have become more aligned together, but also didactical, pretty good actually. Yeah. So here I just made an example of how we, if you remember, I talked about the 9 boxes before, and this is just an example of one of the boxes, knowledge on intermediate level, where we have learning objectives. We know from the training standard, the action verb is to explain. The action verb is actually not the most important thing in this, but the action verb is a way to say in which box does this learning objective belong? In which box shall I find examples of learning activities or ways to evaluate? So that goes together with the learning objective. And in this box, we can see that there are some suggestions for what happens in the individual when we are learning on this level, when we are gaining knowledge at the intermediate level. We also present some suggestions for learning activities aiming at precisely this level of learning. And then at last, on the right side, some suggestions for how you can evaluate the learning on this level. So this coherence, maybe we should change the alignment triangle to alignment square, because that would maybe make good sense. I just got a thought there. Thank you for that. Okay, I think about that. But I hope you can see the principle of this. Yes, please. Yeah. So please click again. Here we go. So why the 9 boxes? As I just sort of introduced, is that learning at different levels calls for activities at different levels, and that's what we should focus on. And just to really go the whole way, I just made some illustrations, and Victoria will slowly click Virginia, sorry, through, and you'll see that circles they grow bigger and bigger as long as we get to the more and more complex levels of abilities and skills and knowledge. And there's just to say that, yeah, we should remember this when we plan our learning activities. Yes, please. So this alignment perspective, it speaks a little into the question I posed before, but please give this one a shot as well. I hope I'm not the only one saying very much. I'm happy about that. I think it's important stuff. So I'm glad you're on the boat. Thank you. So then just 3 definitions that might be interesting to try to understand the TWO learning objectives. Our way of looking at learning is an individual personal construction of experiences. So if we should learn something, we have to create some experiences. And then when you see at the right side of the slide, Kolbs learning cycle that may be known to most of you. It's sort of a basic understanding of a very simple model of learning. But the point here is that if we start on the left side on the active experimentation, that we actually do something. we throw a rope or we do something, and then we see, did they get the rope or did they not get the rope? Then we think about, what could I have done differently, or why did it work? Oh, that's because I used my very strong arm, or because I called it in a good way or something. And then I decide in the end to say, okay, I'll do this again, but I think I'll just adjust my behavior a little, or my performance. And this way we have created an experience by thinking about what happened. Did it work? Did it not work? So the experience is the learning. Without experiences, we don't learn. So if you can draw a line between the experimentation and the reflection side, then these two are the core activities that all participants should do in order to learn. So, and this is really worth also to give some attention when we plan our learning activities. Under the reflection definition, yeah, I'm just saying that it's more than just thinking. It's not thinking about, oh, I'm reflecting on the weather is nice today. No, that's not reflection. That's just pure thinking of an old man. But reflection is, what does that weather mean to me today? Do I have to bring my car, my umbrella, or something? Then I'm starting to make some constructive and critical reflection. And this is the kind of reflection that we should enjoy when we are learning. And you guys as instructors, you should facilitate this reflection by posing questions that makes people think, not, is it raining? No, yes, no. But what do you think about the weather today? Oh my God, I have to think about it. Yeah, I actually like it. So you have to ask questions where the participants, they start thinking, reflecting. That's when they create some experiences and they learn. And the last one on feedback. Yeah, can we take it away again? Thank you. The last one on feedback is just that, well, I wrote, what is it called? Hattie, the Australian researcher for learning. He made an enormous research program in Australia. And he describes that feedback is by far, 10 times anything else, by far the most effective learning amplifier. So the more feedback we can give our participants, the more we can give them feedback and have them something to reflect on, the more they learn. And this is so cheap. It is so easy to do. It's just a matter of watching what they're doing, thinking about it as an instructor and say, oh, you have done this not totally correct. Try to do it, to coil up the rope in another way and see what happens then, or whatever. So that's feedback. Remember feedback. And we have put feedback into a lot of the training standards. It wasn't there before. And now I would like to ask you, so how much time do you plan on having reflection during your just an average training? I know from my own side that I'm normally quite ambitious, and if I have somebody taking the time, managing the time, I can see I don't really reach my ambitions, but ambitions are good. Thank you. Would anyone like to make a short comment on this in the chat? Because when we were doing this poll, I was just thinking, when you only say 10 or 25%, is that because a lot of it will be practical without reflection exercises, or is it because you just do your PowerPoints and they don't have to think so much, these guys? If anyone would like to make a comment on this, please hit the chat and we can just share some ideas on this. Let's just give it a short moment. And while someone is maybe chatting, yeah, back to this feedback, it's important to have your own feedback culture and find out how do you think feedback works the best. Some of you may know the feedback burger model with some good stuff and then some critical stuff and then some good stuff in the bottom. John Hattie says that doesn't work. We should only tell people what they should do different because they're here to learn. They're not here to be appraised by the instructors. But yeah, that's a matter of religion, I guess. So did we get any incoming? Okay, then we'll just move on. So this is the last slide of the taxonomy. And I will end this presentation by asking you this question. Will the taxonomy framework bring any value to your way of planning or conducting or evaluating training? Okay, Ian, you have just to put in the chat. I think we probably do a lot of reflection without always really realizing we're doing it, not least with the interaction with participants during practical training. I think that's a very good point, Ian. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So especially when we try now to also to bring more theory away from the classroom and into the practical trainings, training lessons, then we'll also have naturally more reflection out there on the training grounds. But I agree with you, and thank you for sharing. And yes, to some degree, very little. No, it doesn't make sense to me. There's none. Thank you. Made my day. I can go home a happy guy now. So this concludes the presentation of the taxonomy, GWO taxonomy framework. If you like, check out the movies. I think they're pretty good. And you can always send me a mail or let's talk if you like to expand on something. We are here 24/7, more or less. But you're always welcome to reach out. So the next speaker is Julie Brown. And Julie, you're a firefighter yourself. That's why you put on the firefighting pictures. You love firefighters. And Julie will present the review of the first aid module. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas, and thanks for the taxonomy review. So the BST First Aid module review. So why have we reviewed the BST First Aid standard? Okay, so we're aiming to provide a robust, participant-driven, domain-specific training to meet the needs of our members and also the needs of the wind industry. The module is aiming to enable participants to recognise signs and symptoms of life-threatening situations, but also to enable participants to administer safe and effective first aid in the wind and turbine industry in order to save lives, prevent injury, until the casualty can be handed over to the next echelon of care. So what changes have we made and why have we made them? The duration of the BST First Aid module has moved from 14 hours and been reduced to 7 hours. The refresher has moved from 7 hours and reduced to 4 hours. So the changes of the module. All the learning objectives have been updated according to what a wind turbine technician needs to be able to do. At the end of the module, the first aider can provide safe, life-saving first aid by using the primary survey to identify and treat life-threatening conditions in a prioritised order. They include catastrophic external bleeding, obstruction of airways, unresponsive casualty, unresponsive not breathing casualty, bleeding and shock. Furthermore, the first aider can provide first aid to burns, chemical contacts with the eye, medical emergency situations such as heart attack and stroke, hypothermia and fractures. We provided more focus on practical engagement of participants within all the learning activities. The learning activities have been adjusted to focus on increasing the amount of practice, and we've reached a 70 to 30% split between the practical and theory. We've changed the scenarios. The mandatory scenarios must now include at least one electrical incident, one incident with either a stroke or heart attack, CPR using an AED, and 2 scenarios that must include head-to-toe examinations of the casualty. So where did we get our information from? We gathered and analysed relevant assessments as well as illness and injury statistics from the working group companies. And we used the G+ report 2020. If you have any questions for the first aid update for us, please upload them to the live chat and we will answer them within this session. That concludes the module review for the first aid. So I'm now going to move you on to Thomas to complete the manual handling review. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Julie. If you have any questions for Julie or comments and stuff for the first aid, I suggest that you say them just for the end of the webinar, and then we'll just carry on with the manual handling review. So before we do the if you would like to answer this question, to your knowledge, how many wind technicians warm up before manual handling related tasks? Please give this one a shot. And while you do that, I will just present the work group that actually did this review. You can see them in the bottom. It's Hota from Hull, Vestas, Equinor, Seawind, Offtech, AIS from Newcastle, and ISC. So these were the main, and also Ørsted actually. I don't know why I have put them in, but we got some very good inspiration from Ørsted also. This is the workshop, and now we'll just see the result of the poll. Everybody, when relevant, that's pretty good. That's around 35% or so. That's nice. The reason I asked this question, you will find out in a moment. Thank you. Let's go on. So you can see the G+ report from 2020 that that back injuries. Well, let's take the left one first. Manual handling is the cause, lost workday injuries. Manual handling are 25% reason for that, for those. That's quite a lot, especially if you think that they don't have to happen. We could do something about it. And when we look at the graph on the right side, we'll see that it has become worse for the last 3 or 4 years. That back injuries are increasing, and we have to do something about this because there's a lot of good lives to be saved. Not life saved, but good lives to be saved by acting responsibly, doing warm-ups and doing the right thing, lifting and doing the right thing. So let's get into the standard. Yes. So how did we improve this training standard or the module? We have aligned the module with the latest news, the latest reports, latest research on the topic, to be sure that, and also on research on the industry, to make sure that we actually hitting the where it's needed. So we are talking about the most important stuff that's happening out there. And we have also made the tools in the standard more user-friendly by making them, the illustrations, more simple for the instructors to use and understand. We have decreased the theory. There was a lot of theory in the training before. And if we think about the learning cycle and stuff from before, then what we should be aiming at when we do what is the manual handling, 3.5 hours or so, if we should spend that time the best way, we should practice and practice and practice. And actually, the training committee, the GWO training committee, gave us the task to try to extend the practical training to 70% of the training. And we actually did. So in the plan, we are now on 70% of practical training. This being done by taking out some of the theory, because some of the anatomic theory didn't really make much sense to people like me or wind technicians who's just working out there. And then some of the theory we want to apply during the practical trainings. So when we do some exercises or we do something manual handling, then we can stop and say, okay, what happened here? What should we be careful on? How should we do this? So in this way, we combine the practical and the theory much more closer than it was intended in the old standard. And as Ian also posted just before in the chat, we maybe do reflection more than we actually think, because when we do the practical training, we also reflect on how is it working? Does it hurt? Am I doing the right thing? So that's what we are trying to sort of put pressure on in this version of the standard. Easy illustration tools, and yeah, and the last point I put here is an open practical training scope. So it was also an open practical training scope in the old standard or the old version. It's not so open in this. We have decided 7 points of physical postures that should be covered during the practical training. So in a way, it's more controlled than it was, but it's still, you can do some of the different postures at the same in the same exercise. You don't have to do it one by one. So make next slide, please. Yeah, let's go on. Oh, they're jumping up and down here. It's amazing. And actually here you can see on the right side, we have a picture from Hull, where we did the pilot just before Christmas. And on this picture, you can see how we can train working in strange postures, awkward postures, and also lifting weights and combining some of the different postures. But what we changed in the module from 7 lessons to 5, we've done that by minimizing theory lessons, enhancing the focus on warm-up culture. And this is really a thing I learned from being in this work group. Warm-up is essential. And as you say, yeah, we in the poll just before, some people, 35 or 38% warm up when it's relevant before doing manual handling, but that is still 65% not doing it. And we have to develop a culture of warming up. And now maybe you cannot feel it, guys, but I'm really looking at the training providers here. You should always, when it's relevant, support this culture change by warming up, working heights, enhanced first aid, whatever it is. You should warm up when it's necessary, because what you do is what they do afterwards when they get out there. And if you jump the fence where it's the lowest, can you say that in English? That we do that in Danish, I don't know. But if you take the easiest path and do not warm up because it's not so necessary, then that's what they'll be doing out there. So you are the role models for the wind technicians. You're the instructors. You must take the responsibility to be part of this change, because you can see on the reports a lot of incidents, back pains and manual handling incidents, other manual handling incidents. It must stop, or we must do what we can. And please be aware of that role of yours. It is so important. What you do is what they do. You are the role models. So that was Thomas's song on warm up. Thank you for not breaking off. Is there something in the chat I should be aware of here?
There's lots of questions about first aid.
Okay, so we'll just cover the first aid questions to the last. Thank you for those. Yeah, let us do that. Exactly. Here's just an example of, we made a new annex for warming up, and this annex is probably in most of the training standards now. We found this program. It's a 7-day program. Each morning you can do 10 minutes different ways of warming up, and if we present this to the wind technicians when they're training, they'll learn to do different things. I do it when I go on ski holiday. I just take 4 minutes on the top. I swing my arms and roll my shoulders and lift my hips, and my children are standing there laughing at me because I look ridiculous, and all the other guys, they're just going down the hill. But I do it because I'm an old guy and I have to take care of myself, and I've grown up this way. So I try to take care of myself by warming up. It's not rocket science, actually. So I've said all this in this slide. Next slide, please. So just a little more statistics. You can see on the left scale here is lifting. Lifting is really on back injuries what happens, and on the right side you can see that back injuries is half of the injuries in total. Yeah, it was 52% or something on the other slide, but on this one to the right, it's between 2014 and 2020. So the numbers will change a little, but the point is clear. The point is clear. We must take care of our backs when we work out there, and I know you do it, but keep doing it. Thank you. Next one. 5 lessons instead of 7 lessons. Short introduction, some theory shortly on the spine stuff, warm up, talking about injuries, and then out into the training field to practice, and a short review afterwards. This is how the training is structured now, or designed here. So these 7 work-related physical postures, they're not just landed from some planet. They are the result of some heavy research from Equinor and Ørsted, and we chose to have these postures to be the turn point or turn around, the basic for the practical trainings. Yeah. Something from the annex, more guidance tools for the instructors or helping illustrations. We have a lot about how to lift. You can see in the bottom, the adopt a stable position. So there'll be drawings of how you lift, push, pull, whatever you do in the right way, and then a short text to explain it. So there's a lot of help for the instructors and inspiration for what to talk about during the practical trainings. We also made, I know the 2 drawings are familiar to you. We just had them made in GWO colors because I like the design and the colors, so they fit into the rest of the illustrations in the standards. But the content of the 2 models, they are known by you, I know. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think I said already. We're inspired from the newest reports and research. Of course, there will be other reports and there will be other researches, but these are the ones that we have used for the review of the training standard. And yeah, can we take the next slide? Because when we did the training, the pilot training in Hull, one of the things that I liked very much, I was very happy to hear, was that the 4 participants at the pilot, they were all experienced instructors, acting as if they were not very experienced. But when we had the feedback afterwards, we had a talk and they said this was a very inspiring way of doing the manual handling. There was a lot of activity and they really felt that they were doing something and learning something. And actually, I think they learned something also. So this feeling that this was an interesting training, it was fun, it was challenging, and it was structured at the same time. I think that's an art for the instructor to be able to deliver that. Well done. It was a good pilot. Yeah. The final verse. I have said it 10 times. I'll say it 2 more times. It's a culture thing. We have to do it. We don't want any more bad backs. Let's work together. Yes. A question. Thank you, Tim. So, how many still do standalone manual handling courses and not the combined one? Yeah, I guess we can. I know we can pull some statistics on it, but I agree. It seems that most people are doing manual handling and the combined one with the working at heights, and we have of course adjusted the part of the manual handling part in the working at heights as well to fit into the 7 postures and so. But it's a lighter version. And I was doing working a height course last year, and we didn't warm up, and that was before I saw the light. That will never happen to me again. But I think again, as a training providers, instructors, we must do it. We must do the right thing. And then the other way of answering your question is that the training team, we are going on a manual handling course in May, which is just a 3.5-hour training, just to check it out for ourselves and see how does it feel on our bodies. So we will be doing a standalone manual handling. But I agree, it doesn't look as if there are many. Do you ask me to find some statistics for you? Is that what question? Or does anyone have a point here, Lars? Yeah, yeah, thank you, Lars. We look forward to visiting you. Okay, perfect. Okay, good habits. That's what it's all about. And that concludes the presentation of the manual handling. So now it's time for some questions. I know Christian and Julie are standing by to assist.
Thank you, Thomas, and thank you for the presentation.